been a rough time the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man, it's those storms. That hurricane was crazy, man. And it just our heart and our prayers go out to the folks that have been affected. Man, Asheville, North Carolina, and those surrounding areas just got totally annihilated.
Absolutely. A lot of my family was affected. I was affected just for a couple of days from the hurricane. So it means a lot to me. Those areas I'm very familiar with, grew up in those areas. I know you wrestled in a lot of those areas that were affected as well. And we would love nothing more than to be able to help out any way that we can. And one way that we're able to, Nine Line Apparel, a company that, you have supported throughout the years and worn. They've stepped up to the plate. They've made a shirt that they're going to take all the profits and they're going to give it back to Samaritan's Purse and to the Sentinel Foundation that is boots on the ground right now, helping those families.
They're the ones getting it done right now.
Yes.
I mean, they are out there flying their helicopters, getting generators and water to those folks. Just an amazing organization. So, all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds.
100% of the profits are going to go back to Samaritan's Purse and also the Sentinel Foundation. All you have to do is, go to ninelineapparel.com. We're going to have a link in this video for you to click. Swipe, hit whatever it is that we do with this. Just head over there, purchase the shirt, and the profits are going to go in support of the victims of Hurricane Helene. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those families.
Yeah, man. Stronger than the storm.
Yep, and you guys are, man, the Southeast. So God bless from us here at 6 Feet Under, and we would love for all of our fans and supporters to go over there, pick up a shirt, be able to help raise money for a great cause.
100% of the money goes to the people that need it most right now.
Yes.
So let's band together and help these folks out any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I finally caught my opening, and I took it. And I looked back, and here comes Big Show after me, and I got through that curtain, and I said, let me tell you what, you may kill me, but I said, you touch me or try and pull me out of here, me and you going to fight. And he's like, I'm just telling you what the boss said. And I was like, well, you go back and tell him kiss my ass. Matt,
Mark,
we got royalty in the house tonight.
we do. The king has arrived.
Man,
Boom.
BTZ.
What's going on, dog?
Man, it's good to see you, man.
No, man. Hold on, let me move that mic. I don't want no mic problems here.
No mic problems. You get reprimanded. You get reprimanded for messing with the mic too much.
That's one.
Yeah,
One demerit.
Dog's going to come out from behind.
One demerit,
Yeah.
man. Man, I want to thank you, really. I know how busy you are, but it means a lot that you made the trip up here.
Hey, man, I'm a busy man. Busy man. But it's all love, man. It's all love, man. Always working, just in Atlanta, Georgia last night, checking out that Alex Pereira fight.
Oh,
Did you see that last night,
my
man?
God. Did he piece him up
We was in the
or what?
hotel watching it, man, and Khalil Roundtree, man, did he take a beating or what?
Yeah, you know what? He gave him a hell of a fight.
Come on, man. He really didn't. He really didn't. He didn't touch him. He didn't. The kid did. Pereira didn't have a scratch on him. Not a scratch. Not a.
Hey, there was so much blood.
It was serious.
Oh my gosh, he pieced him up those last few rounds.
Beautiful
My
work.
good
Beautiful work.
Lord.
Extraordinary. I mean, like.
Yeah, he's next level, man.
I mean, he really is. And I was talking about that. I mean, Khalil Roundtree, he has a great story, but it's hard to get up off the sofa and do what a guy like Pereira has done from that kickboxing career, over a period of time, having that playbook, man, having all the tools in the tool bag, and you can see him actually using this tool, and then he come with this tool, and then he go with that tool. Oh my God, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
He's starting to.
Beautiful work.
I'd love to see him and
Beautiful work.
Jones. I'd love to see him and Jones
You know what,
go,
man? I think that would be a much more competitive fight than people think.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think so too.
I think people think because John Jones so big from a heavyweight perspective, and then his wrestling has been so good over the years too. I think that it would be great to see.
It would be fun.
But I do think if John Jones got Pereira to the ground, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Oh, yeah.
He's a beast on the ground.
Yeah, but Jones hasn't it's taking some time off.
Yeah, Father Time's undefeated. There's that. He's got a lot of pride though, man. John is
The best in the world, man.
He's by
Best
far.
in the world.
Yeah.
Time off is your worst enemy.
Yeah,
But
it
that
is.
was the whole thing,
We
like that
said it.
time off, though, just not being in the octagon, not getting those reps. I mean, you guys have talked about it before, where there's an in-ring shape. That's a lot different, and I think there's probably the same thing with UFC, right? Like there's an in the octagon type of shape that I don't know if John Jones is there right now. Can he get in that shape? Absolutely, he is. Considered the GOAT.
You know what? Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I imagine how or where his legacy would be if he hadn't had all the trouble, I mean, my goodness,
it would be unquestionable that he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
There would be no
I'm gonna
question.
tell you, man. You know how it is. It's hard. It's hard to fight temptation.
Yep.
In
Well,
this
especially
business.
when you're at that level,
Exactly.
and you're
They
getting everything
everybody
thrown
giving
at you.
everything. You can't pay for anything.
Yep.
When you're at that level,
Yeah.
and the women.
Yep.
The women.
Right. The
I'm
women,
married,
man.
Booker, I'm married to a saint.
Well,
I've just,
as we all
you've been single once upon a time, and if you've been on the
I don't
road,
remember that
look
day.
here.
I don't remember that
See,
time.
now he pleaded the fifth.
I don't
He
remember
pleaded
that
the
time
fifth.
of my
Is
life.
his wife
He going
working
straight
in the
baby
production
face.
room?
No, I've
He
never.
going straight baby face.
I don't know
on
what
this,
you're
man.
talking about. A woman before Eli?
My
Never.
God, man! Look here. I got the most beautiful wife in the world. Former Miss America. The lovely Charmaine, my queen.
The queen.
But she knows it's been women jocking at me for years.
Oh, I'm not saying that they don't. Just beating that.
That's just part
Just
of
has
it.
to accept it, right?
You got to be able to fight temptation.
Yeah.
You got to be strong.
Gotta be strong,
You
man.
feel me?
I didn't even promote that you were going to be on the show because I knew the line that would be outside the studio. So I was just like, I can't even promote
Hey,
it.
man, no. Motion is everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it would be fun to see. It would be a great fight to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
absolutely.
I think it's got some potential to happen because Beretta, he's kind of like cleaning out the division.
Yep.
John Jones, he has to come back, and who is he going to fight to actually have that mega performance, that mega fight?
But does he do a tune-up match before?
No,
Well, he's
hell
going to
no.
fight
No,
Stipe. He's
no,
going to
no.
fight Stipe, right?
I
Isn't he
mean,
fighting Stipe?
yeah, I guess so. I guess that's the fight that's on the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think Steve is going to be any problem because he's been off as well.
He's been off as well.
Yeah.
So I think Jones, that's almost a tune-up fight for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
And then-
who you got your money on? Who you got your money?
It's hard to bet against John
You can't bet
Jones.
it until somebody touches him.
Yeah.
No one's touched him other than Gustafson, right?
I know that's the whole thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to bet against Jones. It's
I feel that way too. Champion's advantage. But
Yeah.
this kid Alex, he's special.
He
man.
is special.
He is.
He is special.
Yeah.
if he beats Jones, he goes on to a Mount Rushmore type of guy.
Well, I think him stepping into the UFC the way he did, literally on short notice and becoming boom champ.
Yeah.
And then boom
Yep.
champ again. No, he's done what no man has done before in the UFC.
Yeah.
He really has.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big credit. Yeah. Seriously.
So you're a big mixed martial arts guy. I mean, you're a big
Boxing,
UFC guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Since the inception of the UFC, I mean, I remember Chemo and Horace Gracie in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man,
the good-
coming
yeah.
up, man. Chuck Liddell, Tito, of course, and just now what the guys are doing. It's a barbaric sport.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
roughest sport I man could ever do.
I agree.
The human body was not meant for that, but that's just the nature of the beast and man, I think. That's like football and any other sport, but it's definitely something that entertains me. And it's like the gladiators sport of the day. Are you entertained? Are you entertained? That's the way I feel when I watch the UFC. I'm serious.
It is.
man.
It's amazing the growth and how it's evolved.
Yeah.
Like from UFC 1 and 2, where
Yeah.
the only thing that was illegal were fish hooks and eye gouging.
Yeah, headbutts, groin shots,
Yeah.
anything goes.
Everything.
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
I remember. God, what was it? It was Boz Rutten just hammering this dude in the balls.
Yeah,
You
I
remember?
that.
Yeah,
I remember
I was
that.
just like,
Yeah. No, it
Lordy.
was,
Well, the kick, the dude, he kicked the sumo wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
In that, I think it was like the first fight or whatever, And the sumo wrestler's like on all fours, and the dude just walks up and just kicks him in the side of his head.
Yeah.
No, it was real. Is it possible? And like I say, it's always entertained me, but it is a sport that you got to wonder. At the end of the day, we always talk about CTE and all that stuff and whatnot, and how the guys are going to end up in their careers, and we're just now at that point to where we're going to actually see a lot of these guys after they retire. It's a rough gig.
It is a rough gig. I will give them credit though. I mean, they more so than I think boxing early on. They really do step in pretty quick to what's a fighter's helpless or even not defending.
Did you see Khalil Roundtree last night? Did you see that?
Yeah.
And
well,
because I was begging for the referee to just stop that fight.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it happens, in the UFC as well, in boxing and every other sport. I mean, it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Even though the way they're trying to change football right now, they're trying to make it as safe.
But then you look at Tua. I mean,
exactly my point.
And
exactly
Tua's
my
had what 5 concussions over the last
just
2
say,
years.
for instance, they changed the
that
way
we know about.
They changed the rule of the kickoff. Okay, that's fine. But what about all the rest of the game?
Yeah.
I mean, but do you think there's
it's
people?
a violent game.
And I'm not a doctor or scientist or anything, but like I look at Tua, do you think that just he's just more susceptible to get a concussion, or once you get that first one, is it easier to get a second? I don't know. I don't know, but
I'm not a doctor or anything, and I don't play one on television. But
it's everything else though.
you're just a king. You're just a king.
No, but I think it's the amount of hits. I don't think it's I think it's over a period of time. It's just like a fighter getting knocked out. Get knocked out one time. Normally, when a fighter get knocked out the first time, it's so much easier for it to happen.
Yeah. To
happen
Again, I look at Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell was a guy, he had an iron chin until he got tapped on it, boom, and then from that point, you could barely touch him. And I just think it's something that happens over, like I say, I could be 100% wrong, but I just don't think the human body was meant to do that. And just like we say in the wrestling game, we got a bump card. You know what I mean? Once that bump card is punched up,
you're done.
It's time to lay it down. It really, truly is. And I believe that we talk about on my show in the Hall of Fame that number 40. When a fighter get to that age 40, man, it's so much harder to recover. It's so much harder to get yourself up for those fights. It's so much harder to train for those fights.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has a lot to do with it, from a perspective. But a young guy like Tua, you got to think about it. He's been Pop Warner, junior high school, college.
How much head trauma?
How many bumps he got on his card?
Yeah.
I just hope that, to be honest with you, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I just hope he
He's
retires.
finished.
He needs to retire.
He's
for his
done.
family.
Wrap him up.
Yeah. I mean, just for the longevity of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. He's finished.
But okay, seriously, from 2 professional wrestlers that, some would say you've had some concussions, but. What would your suggestion to Tua be? Would it be to?
I think you do all your due diligence as far as your neurosurgeons. You're going to see like the what's our guy in Pittsburgh, Dr. Maroons, the guys that specialize in head trauma. I think you have to do all that due diligence and see where you're at, see how long it takes to recover from the symptoms of all this stuff, and then you just have to. We're all kind of gladiators. If you're in football, you're in wrestling, you're in boxing, you're in MMA, you have a kind of a gladiator spirit, and that sometimes can be the absolute worst thing for you. And I'm a prime example because I always thought I had that silly mentality like I'm going to go out on my shield. That's how I want to go out.
Yeah.
And then you get to that point where things are starting to happen, and then you realize, like, I'm a young man, and I got a lot of my life left, and I have a young wife, I have kids. You really have to put all that stuff into perspective. If they're happening that frequently, at a young age. I mean, he's what, 22, 23?
Well, no. He's now 25 to 27, somewhere in there.
Okay, he's in his 20s. He's a young man.
Yeah, he's still in his 20s. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, really, you have to step back and take a really hard look at where you're at. But I mean, you got to.
And sometimes in the moment and at that age, you're not thinking about 50 years down the road. You know what I mean? You're not thinking,
all right, in the age. I mean, I always say, how you going to tell a man, he can't do what he loves anymore? How you can do? You can't do it. You really can't. And I go back to the Rocky movie when he had to fight Antonio Tarver, right? And he passed all the tests, all the battery of tests,
right.
and they still denied him. And Rocky was like, come on, how you gonna tell me, I can't do what I love to do? It's really hard to tell him because we only got one life. We only got one life, and you want to do it. You want to go out on your own terms.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, and in his case, he would be walking away because of injury.
Yeah.
Versus walking away
for me,
because you want to walk away.
For me, I had a neck injury. Okay, I had a neck injury, and I've had that neck injury for some time, and the doctor told me either have surgery if I want to continue wrestling or retire. And I chose to step away from it because I think I did everything I needed to do in the game, as well as like Taker was just saying. I was thinking about my family. I was thinking about, man, I could go out here and do something stupid, as well as I could do something else. I don't know how much Tua Tagovailoa, how much money he got, but I know he's got a great.
Well, he just signed one that's got some guaranteed money.
He got some guaranteed money.
So I don't think he's worried about that. Seemed like, hopefully, he make the best choice for not just him, but for his family.
Yeah, or hopefully, if he can't do it, I mean, there's somebody in the organization or someone
that too. Somebody's got to step up and take him out of the game. Somebody's going to have to pull him back.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a little easier.
Yeah. He's probably one of your fantasy guys, but I get it.
I ain't never played fantasy football, so
I wouldn't take anybody on the Dolphins anyway.
Come on, man. We're already having a rough time.
All right, I won't pick on you, man.
This ain't the year, Just not our year. It's time to go get some draft picks at this point. Get rid of Tyreek and just go get some draft picks.
Well, Boog, you may have retired, but you're kind of like me, man. You're as busy, minus the bumps, as you ever were, right?
Yeah, man.
I mean, you got not only your WWE stuff, but you also have your personal business, your school, your company. I mean, you
reality wrestling, man. Reality wrestling. That's my baby. Started in 2005, and
has it been that long?
Almost 20 years now.
That's crazy,
almost 20
man.
years. Any overnight success is about 20 years, they say. And we actually doing pretty good. We got a brand new facility, and we got a brand new TV slot at 10 p.m. like Paul Bosch did back in the day. I wear the ring of Paul Bosch as well.
You don't know who Paul Bosch is.
I don't.
That right there, that's for Texas, for somebody who grew up in Houston, that right there is
So what was
special.
Paul Bosch?
Paul Bosch.
Paul Bosch.
Yeah, he was a promoter back in the day. Actually, he was a wrestler, and then he became a promoter of Houston wrestling that ran for many, many years on CW 39 and at 10 p.m. on Saturday nights. Now my show, Reality Wrestling, it comes on at 10 p.m. on Saturday nights.
Well, that's pretty cool,
like,
man.
Oh, man.
That's full circle. That's a full circle
great,
moment.
Man.
That's really
so
cool.
awesome. He'd be so proud.
Mark, one of my favorite sponsors that we have is Magic Spoon.
Because you can eat it.
I love it.
Oh, it's good.
Yes. And unlike most of the stuff that I eat,
It's good for you.
it's actually
it's true.
actually not that bad for me. And I mean, as a kid, I love to eat cereal, and as a teenager, I love to eat cereal, and as
an adult,
I love to eat cereal. So, but this,
Can you still enjoy it with milk or?
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm not as old as you. I can actually still put milk in my cereal. And
Brother, I'm a milk eating, drinking fool.
You're eating your milk?
I eat it. I freeze it. I freeze it, and then I eat it.
You just
I love milk cubes.
Milk cubes. You're just freezing it, and you're just putting milk cubes in your Magic Spoon cereal. And I don't want all the from here. I don't want all the sugar and that's in most of the cereals. I'm trying to do better. This has protein in it, and here's the thing:
13 grams per serving.
They don't even have, they have more than just cereal too. They've got these cereal bars, high protein cereal bars. This is the double chocolate. It's got 1 gram of total sugars, 2 grams of net carbs, and 12 grams of protein. Double chocolate. And this is the one that everyone has been eating around the studio, is the chocolate peanut butter.
Chocolate peanut butter.
Yeah. Are you a chocolate peanut butter guy?
I like peanut butter. I'm not crazy about chocolate, but chocolate and peanut butter are okay together.
Yeah, a little like a chocolate peanut butter cup maybe. So every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs. So you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa. There's so many more as well. Okay, and for our listeners, they can get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/6feet, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/6feet for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream.
Wait, do that one more time.
Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream.
Man, I feel it.
You can feel that one?
I can feel it, man.
Go to magicspoon.com/6feet and get $5 off. Thank you.
In spite of Matt.
And to be able to work with the next generation, I think is really, really important for the business. It's not, we've lost so many carpenters,
Yep.
Along the way that should be
still
filling
with
those
us.
jobs
Yep,
and filling those spots and, guiding these young guys to what it means to work at that next level. There's so many guys out there that's, never been to that level, never, sniffed being at that level out there teaching these young guys what it means. And wrestling is taking a turn, and it's taking a turn in a direction that I don't want it to go in. So I feel like I have a responsibility, a duty to actually try to show these young guys what it means to go out in what we call, Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, Phantom of the Opera, be able to go out there and perform. And it's been so cool to work with so many youth, as well as working down in NXT in the commentary perspective, to work with the young guys there before they actually get to the next level has been it's so rewarding. It's so refreshing. I say it's kind of like the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
And I'm soaking it up as long as I possibly can, man.
Do those guys, do they seek you out, or do you find like somebody that you kind of like, well, I see a lot in this guy, and
I tell you, from the J.D. McDonoughs to the, Carmelo Hayeses, to the Trick Williams, to the J.C. James, to the Tiffany Strattons. They've all, sat under the learning tree and got a little piece. Kind of like when I first got to WWE and I'm getting ready to walk out the curtain at WrestleMania, you say, hey, Book, just take it all in, man.
Yeah.
Just that one little piece of advice. For me, it expanded my horizon. It made me go out and feel that moment, opposed to just rush through that moment. And to be able to give these young guys that sense of, calm when they go out in the ring, to be able to have something in the back of their head to be able to go to make them feel a certain way is so freaking important. For me. I get more out of it than they do. I really do.
Do you think? Well, it's important that there's people like you that have been at the top of the mountain that are willing to do that. I mean, and you can't, you've done everything there is to do. You've held all the belts. You've held, you've done it all. I think, and the fact that you're willing to give that, because not everybody's willing to do it.
Hey, bro, from the old school.
Yeah.
The old school was like, we ain't never giving this spot up. We ain't giving up the knowledge. We ain't helping you at all.
No, that's the way it was. That's the way when we came up. When we came up, you were very fortunate if you found an old timer or a veteran that would kind of say, "Hey, kid, come here. Let me, why don't you do this instead of doing it like this?" Most of them would. I know when I came up, they were giving me the most horrible advice.
Exactly.
Go out there and do that. And I'm like, huh? It didn't make sense, but he told me to go do it, so I'm going to go out and do it. Then I come back and get my ass chewed out because I did something really stupid that I knew was stupid.
How was my match? It was great, kid. And they didn't even watch it.
Do the same thing tomorrow.
That was awesome.
No, but it's so cool to actually be able to work with the young guys. It's crazy. We was just in Chicago just this past week, and for the debut of NXT. And I was sitting in the Allstate Arena. We've been there. We've been 1,000 times.
I love that place.
And you know how the catering it goes. You got to go up that big long ramp. I hate that ramp. And when I went up that ramp, I said, "This the only time I'm coming to catering today. This is one time."
One time.
So I'm sitting there in catering, and I'm just reminiscing. I'm just kind of like just going back in time, thinking about how many times I had been in that building, right? You know, and I was like, wow, you know, and then I hear this kid, he walks up to me and he goes, "What's up, OG?" And I go, "Oh, what's up?" And this kid, his name is Javon Evans. He's 20 years old and he's got a bowl of Lucky Charms. He sits down at the table. And I just couldn't do anything but just laugh. Because I'm like, why am I still here with this kid eating a bowl of Lucky Charms? I can't even drink milk anymore.
I'm lactose intolerant now.
It's so funny.
If I eat a bowl of cereal, I'm in the bathroom.
I got to go to the hospital.
Oh, jeez, that's
he
funny.
said not just the milk, Lucky Charms. You know, tricks are for kids. You know, I was like, wow, man, why am I here?
That's
I felt like I was in a time warp. But that's what keeps me young, man. That's what keeps me going.
That's funny. I have a similar, and I can't remember this guy's name, but I was in St. Louis. I was wrestling. I ended up wrestling the Dudleys in a handicap match, and you know they're a handful anyway. And I mean, you earn your money when you work with the Dudleys, right? And I don't know. I think I'd probably done 20 minutes with them, and I come back and I sit down in the dressing room, and I'm just like, whew, I'm like having that moment, like, my gosh, you're getting old, man. And I wish I could. I want to say it was Rene Dupree, but it may not have been him. But anyway, I sit down, and it just happens. This guy comes into the room, and he goes, "Wow, you know what?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You know, when I was a kid, I had your poster on my wall." And I flipped. I was like, "Get out!"
Exactly.
That's like, that's not what I want to hear.
Last thing I need to hear
now is that you had a poster of me on your wall when you were a kid.
You know, I hate that too. I hate you know what I hate? When someone say that, they look older than me.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to laugh.
I
used to
They look older than you.
Bro, they might be older.
They are older.
I'm serious. I'm like, come on, bro. You know?
I used to think that was the funniest thing when I went to Lawler's territory for the first time. I rode with Dutch quite a bit. And or he actually rode with me. I was the one doing all the driving, right? Yeah, I was paying dues. And I used to laugh my ass off, like, because somebody, man, I used to watch you when I was a kid. I just thought it was the funniest thing. You know, I'm 20.
Yeah, right.
I'm in my early 20s. I think everything. You know, when it came back around, it wasn't quite as funny as I remembered it.
Yeah,
It was
right.
like,
You were my dad's favorite wrestler when he was a kid.
My dad, man, is it over? Is it over?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what you be thinking.
And the other thing too
happened.
is when you start wrestling guys' kids.
Oh yeah.
That's a slap in the face too.
It is. Yeah.
It's like, damn.
But you're still here though. That's what I say when that kind of stuff
Yeah, I
happens.
mean, you did a little work there with Breaker at NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, his dad and
How
family.
cool was that, man? How cool was that though?
Oh, yeah, that was. Man, as long as I got to take a bump. If all I got to do is throw a punch,
kid.
he's going to be special.
No, he's another kid. He is talent. He's a student, and he's going to be a hell of a star, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be.
Do you think it made sense for them to take the belt off of him a couple weeks ago with?
Well,
with
you know, one thing about you got to know how to lose in order to know how to win.
Yeah.
You know, Steven Tyler said that. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right, Steven Tyler, right? Yeah. You got to know how to lose in order to know how to win. And for him, it's not going to hurt him at all.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you know, the more I lost, you know, and then got it back, the better it made me look, you know.
Yep.
I wouldn't be able to say five times if I didn't lose it. Five times. You know, but no, it's just, I don't think that's what, it's not about winning and losing other than how you win and how you lose.
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
No, you're absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it made sense at that time to go ahead and take the
No,
belt
he's
off.
he's young, man. His whole he ain't even scratched the surface of what he's going to do.
And he's so athletic.
He's athletic. He's actually, I mean, he cuts better promos than his uncle and his dad already.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be special. He is special, but he's, like I said, he's only scratched the surface, I think, of what he's going to do. He's going to be a player for a long time.
You think there's a lot of pressure on a guy like that with who his family is to?
Oh, well, I mean, you're always going to be compared, right? You always. I mean, it's inevitable. Like, especially if they were successful.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure there on him, but I think a lot of pressure was taken off of him by not using the Steiner name.
Yeah. I like the fact that he did that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people looked at that as a negative. I think I might have been one of the only people saying that it was actually something that was pretty cool because it didn't give him any advantages. He was going to have to go in there and he was going to have to get there on his talent and his talent alone. And he's proven that he's talent. He's proven that I always say you got to know how to make it in the locker room before you have a chance at making it in the ring. That
You
part,
can get shut down, and
they'll shut him down real quick. And for him to actually understand that part and make it to the next level. And for me, he's a good listener because every time I talk to him about the littlest thing, he would always try to implement it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's key. That's big. I can't tell you how much just people want to have your ear, and it's all for the visual.
Yeah.
I hate it. Drives me absolutely insane. Somebody will come up to me, ask me, "Hey, have you been watching my stuff?" Or and I think, "Well, I haven't, but I will." And then see them again, and then you give them some advice, and it's going in one right out the other.
And the thing is,
thing.
with me coming up, and I used to have guys come up to me and say, "Kid, let me tell you this." And the thing is, I knew who to listen to. Sometimes it went in one ear and out the other ear.
Yep.
No, I'm serious. But as certain guys, I knew exactly who to listen to, and I was going to take that advice and I was going to go out there and try to implement it. Sometimes I think the young guys these days are different than we were back then. I mean, I think the respect issue, the locker room etiquette was totally different. The way we learned it was totally different. Nowadays, a lot of the young guys think that they may know more than we do.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is? You think it's because they're more athletic?
I think it's because of television. I think it's because of the internet more than anything. I think it's because of the internet more than anything. I do a thing called fantasy camp. Okay, and it's $100, and it's a 5-hour day. And I've run them through how to learn how to lock up, headlock, whatnot, and then at the end of the day we do a Q&A. And I had these two guys, two twins. I think they were like 17 years old, and we was talking about men wrestling women. And I said I didn't think it was a good idea. I say if it's for practicing purposes, it's great.
Right.
I say because you're going to have more men doing this most of the time than women. I say sort of practice and learn. I say it's great. I say, but for that, other than that, I don't think it's good. I say, and then the kid goes, well, I don't agree with that. He said,
17. Okay. 17.
I just got 2 rings. Over 30 years. Over 30 years.
Do tell.
And he said, I don't agree with that. He go, men should be able to beat women. Women should be able to beat men. It's wrestling. You should be able to do anything. And I almost grabbed him by the back of his collar and his pants and threw him through a plate glass window. But I did. But I tried to be
awesome to get thrown out of fantasy camp.
That would be, oh my God. That would be.
Needless to say, he never came.
The best thing, you could have reached in your pocket, grabbed $100, hand it to him, and just go on and leave.
No, but
go on and leave. You
that's-
gotta get your money back.
Exits that way, buddy.
Yeah.
No, but this cosplay and all this stuff, and the way some of the guys go out and do it, this kid may have that false perception to think that that's the way it actually really is.
But it goes back to telling a story, right? It doesn't make any. It's hard to believe that.
Well, what we do is
Liv Morgan can beat an Undertaker.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
That right
you
there.
Can't.
I always used to say, I used to tell people all the time, as far as the realism of this game. And I always used to use Mark as an example. And I say, do you think The Undertaker could have been the Phenom on Sunday night at the pay-per-view, and then on Monday night, he was a chef on Twitch?
Mark,
Yes, sir.
our great sponsor here, Artisan Grange. We've talked about them for a while now. These guys got a little CBD pouch, 5 milligrams, great flavors.
Which flavor is this?
This is the wintergreen. So if you're trying to come off dip or anything like that, you gotta have to cut. These are brand new cans. Artisan Grange help you out. Ooh, look at you with your knife. I've seen you sitting over there with that today.
I thought I might need it.
Artisan Grange is a company started when a group of former tobacco dippers wanted a dip alternative that actually tasted like tobacco. So they decided to make one on one condition. It supports American farmers. No matter what your taste, hemp dip satisfies without tobacco, nicotine, or fake fillers. Each pouch contains 5 milligrams of full spectrum CBD from the hemp. The community of hemp dippers who have switched from tobacco and other alternatives is a proud group of dippers who have pride in dipping as a simple pleasure again. One you can do because you want to, not because you have to, and supporting the American tradition of farm quality. So, thank you, Artisan Grange, for sending us some of this product. You gotten in there yet?
I can't get in.
What is? Man. You can tell you're from the West Coast over here in Texas.
The West Coast. The Southwest Coast.
It smells good. Smells like a wintergreen.
Did you get one?
Yeah, it tastes pretty good.
That's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thank you, Artisan Grange, once again for supporting 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway.
Thank you, Artisan Grange.
Bro, preach.
Preach, Buck. Thank you. You thank you very much.
man.
You
I
just
mean, good
validated.
Lord, it wouldn't have worked. It couldn't have happened.
you.
That's a walk-off right
Right.
there.
Dude, drop-
we can
we're
end the
done.
show. We can end the show. You literally have validated everything that's come out of this man's mouth and what we preach on
No,
this show.
I say that to all the people all the time. I say, come on, it could never have happened. He had to live it, he had to breathe it, he had to walk it, he had to talk it.
Yeah.
He had to believe it
Yes.
in order for you to believe it.
Yes.
I think that there's such a concerted effort to let everyone know what it is that we do. There is, we try to protect the magic part. No, we don't. It's wide open.
Yeah.
And then there is no pride in the industry and what it is.
That's got a lot to do with it.
They don't have the same kind of pride. Yes, they're great performers. They can do great things. They're more athletic than we ever were. All those things. That's great. But they don't. I don't feel like there's some. There's some.
Yeah, there are some.
There are some. But for overall, the mass majority, they don't have the pride of being, I feel, a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I just
Not 100%, not full time.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Only when you're there.
And with this, you got to be that all the time if you want the fans, the people that's following you to actually believe in what we're doing here. And I think that's the lost art, a truly lost part of the art of what we do. It's not as real as we tried to make it.
Yep.
Do you think social media has a lot to do with that, though?
I think social media has a lot to do with it, but I think a lot of the wrestlers play into the social media because they feel like they need to have something to boost them, and that boost is the followers telling them that they are great, they are better than. Yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with it.
We talked about this a couple months ago. Of man, what if there was a wrestler, like someone that would never went on social media. They never posted about their personal life. They didn't have any social media accounts. All you ever saw from them was just when they showed up on Monday nights or Friday nights or whatever it was, or Tuesday nights. And that's all you ever saw. and they were this dark, mysterious figure that's all they did, and they sold out to that. How over they would be.
Well, they would be so different than anybody else, and see that's the thing with professional wrestling, and that's always been the challenge with professional wrestling, is to be able to do different what everyone else is doing. Everyone else is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to do that same thing a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're talking about. Not being the guy on social media, being a guy that actually, when he walks in, he walks out the same way.
And what makes it tough is if you've got a wife at home and she's gender reveal parties or whatever for the kids, she wants to post this stuff with you and everything. It makes it where you've got to get the whole family to buy in at this point.
It's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
But if somebody was willing to do it, the dividends it would pay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We can't take a picture of us at the beach together.
And the thing is, we
can't.
got a few of the guys right now, that the young guys in the company, that they are really bought in and invested in trying to go out and be that guy, being that character. But it's only a handful, and with our business, everyone has to buy in order for our secrets to be kept. And I always equate it to going to Vegas. Can you imagine going and see the Mind Freak and he tell you, I'm going to show you how I do this trick?
It just ruins it.
No, I don't want to know.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So I think that knowing that for a lot of people, it takes it makes them feel like they know more than we do.
Yeah, and what's great about that is like WrestleMania this year with what he did with The Rock, right? Your wife was in the suite with us at that point, right? And like 2 people knew about what was going to happen, right? And when it happened, my wife is flipped. My wife just blurts out every 4-letter word, and that's not her.
Yeah.
Your wife's behind me. The kids are there. They're all flipping out, and your wife turns into a fan as well in that moment.
I can't fade everybody.
Yeah.
Michelle was the only one that knew.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I kayfabed everybody
I'm
about
like,
it.
man.
And, I mean, everyone was, all of a sudden they went back to being 12 years old again and being a fan again because it was so unexpected.
You know what? Why though? I tell people all the time is, what Taker did, what I did back in the day. We didn't just make fans watch what we did. We tried to make them feel it. Trying to get Taker to do the spinneroonie. That was a moment.
I will accept an apology though. By the way, that is one of the main reasons.
That's what we
I wanted you to
go.
hear. I just it's been 23 years. I'm still. Can't believe you turned on me like that.
That wasn't me, man.
The old man made you do it,
The old
didn't he?
man made me do it, man. He was in here. The referee giving me the Iggy, man. Just tagging me on.
Of all y'all's great matches in the history of your, is that something that probably did people ask you about the spinneroonie more than anything?
More than anything.
Yeah, it's.
And it
all
wasn't
the
even
time.
on television. But
No, it was. So back then we'd do a dark match. They'd advertise one match. It was at a TV, but they'd advertise one match to sell tickets. And I don't know. We'd been a couple of months as a tag team.
Yeah.
And we'd finish the night and did the same thing every night. I'd cue it up for him. He'd get on the mic, and man, he'd start doing the spinneroonie. Great. I'd get on the bike. I'd ride out. It was all. I mean, it was just. It was poetry. And then one day, like a viper, he just bit me. Just like I was shocked. I was like, no, he did not. Just say that out loud. And the fans like,
they're leaning into it.
I definitely want to see. I definitely want to see.
What brought this
my
about,
God.
Booker? How?
Vince McMahon. Okay, that's what brought
Man,
it.
cruel.
I had nothing to do with it. I plead the fifth on everything else. But it was good. No, but for me, actually doing it, trying to convince him to do it through the fans, trying to get the fans to motivate him to actually do it. I thought he was going to do it. I did. Everybody's done the spinneroonie. I mean, he's the only one that's never did the spinneroonie. So I felt kind of bad that we didn't get. Everybody has done the spinneroonie at least once. So I thought it would have been a great time. It would have been a great moment. It would have been a great memorable moment.
I think.
Can you imagine? But
Hall of Fame highlight.
But listen. Seriously, that's what made it work even more so by him not doing it, because is that guy.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that couldn't do it and perhaps live it down because of the character.
Because of the character.
Yeah.
The character, man, was so strong, and that's to be able to spot that, to be able to not go along with the program because everyone else has gone along with the program. It's ingenious.
And was there ever an inkling of a thought to ever get down?
There was no way. There was no way it was going to happen. And I'll never forget. He seems like he comes up in every show, but I think Vince sent Big Show, like, because I finally caught my, after this has gone on for an hour. After the tapings are over, after the dark match is over, this goes on for like an hour.
And the whole locker room comes out.
Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody that was still in the building was in the ring. And I finally caught my opening, and I took it. And I looked back, and here comes Big Show after me. And I got through that curtain, and I said, let me tell you what, you may kill me, but I said, you touch me or try and pull me out of here, me and you going to fight. And he's like, I'm just telling you what the boss said. And I was like, well, you go back and tell him kiss my ass, because I ain't coming back out. And I said,
Oh man!
Now, what was y'all's next conversation?
it was once it got back, I was just like, I can't believe y'all. It was like a hit.
In the ring,
It was a hit job, man.
On camera, it's on camera. Cameras were still rolling, of course, and he goes, Booker, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm about to say, what did he say in the ring to you?
That's what he said in the ring. I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you.
And
man.
I didn't do it. You know?
Were you
By now,
expecting everybody to come out of the locker
No,
room?
that
You
was-
weren't-
that was
all
all
ad-lib.
That was
all
all.
ad-lib.
Yeah, you had
That was
no
all
idea
ad-lib,
that was
yeah.
going to happen.
I think he actually expected that I was going to do it, and then people started coming down. I mean, everybody came down. Rock came down.
I tell you,
It was
man, when The Rock came down and he cut a promo, he cut a promo on Vince. You think you can do something? You think you can do that, Spinneroonie? You can't do that, Spinneroonie. Let me show you how to do that thing.
Oh, it was. It's just though it was, and
I
too,
was like-
it was just gasoline on the fire. The fire was getting out of control too,
Well, they
man.
got to a point that people forgot that they were trying to get you to do
Oh, yeah,
Spinneroonie.
that's why I got out. They got so many people in there, and everybody's so engaged. Like, I was like, that's it. I'm Hank Snowing out of here. I'm gone, man.
Oh, but what a great night, man. That's what made wrestling, that's what made our jobs easy. That's what made coming to work, a whole lot easier, because it was a grind. It was a grind.
No, it was.
I talk about the playbook that had been run, for so many years, that same schedule, overseas, the house shows, the TV, overseas house shows. It was just a constant grind. And I talk about how it is now. These young guys, they got it a little bit better than what.
Yeah.
It's
got a
not
lot
quite
better.
like it was back then. But man, it was a monster, and we had to figure out how to,
There's a lot of stuff you had to balance. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to balance you got to balance your family.
Yeah.
You got to balance how you're going to sustain yourself without losing your mind, because you're with the same guys every single day, and then especially when you go overseas, then it really gets constricted, because now you're on the same buses with guys, and it was grind. That's the word. It was we loved it. I don't know that I changed a bit, but it was a grind, man. It was tough to do. And if you didn't have moments like that every once in a while, just to break the monotony of things and give you something else. I know this is a sore spot with you. I laugh about it today. I'm surprised we don't have any on Red Bull, the Red Bull thing. Out of all the things, there's guys. I wasn't around when you and Dave squared up. I wasn't there for that. So the only time I ever really seen Book out of his mind, pissed off, was someone. So they would bring coolers into the dressing room, outside the dressing room doors, and fill them up. Put waters in there, some Diet Cokes and stuff like that. They never put Red Bulls in there. And Book would stop on his way to the arena. I'd get two, right? I think he'd get 2 Red Bulls, and he'd put them in the cooler. And he, at whatever time that he wanted to drink, that he'd drink one, then he'd drink the other one. Well, somebody came along one day, and everybody knew, like, the Red Bulls are Book's.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
There's no other Red Bull. There's not been a Red Bull in the cooler.
No, they don't put those in.
They don't put Red Bull in the cooler, so you know that there's somebody's. Even if you didn't know they were books, you know that somebody put those in there. And he went for his Red Bull one day, and it was gone. Oh my gosh! Talk about flipping a gasket. He cussed everybody that was in earshot of stealing his Red Bull. It was one of the Bashams, I think,
one
right?
of the Bashams that
Oh
showed
my
it,
God!
yeah.
And when he finally figured out who it was, you know, I'm not like real when things like that. I'm not the most compassionate person. I was like, damn, Book's about to kill him, because the more he yelled, the more hotter he got. And his stupidity defense just didn't work. Like, well, I just saw it in there and I was going to drink it. And oh my gosh,
God, man.
He's sitting back watching you about to kill him, and he just pops the top on that other Red Bull.
No, I wouldn't have got close to that Red Bull. I was just like, oh my God, who's gonna pull Book off of him in a minute?
I was a little
Because he was like one.
I was a little off with the Red Bull. It was a ritual, man. It was a ritual.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
And we were creatures of habits.
Yeah. I remember one
Lord.
time my Red Bull was missing, and I picked up the whole cooler in the middle of the hallway and dumped all the ice and the sodas in the middle of the hall. And just, I was just that mad. I walked through that. You know, I just lost my life. I just, I don't know, but it was my thing. It was my ritual. And when it went wrong, it seemed like something went wrong in me. And I hate those days. That's why I don't drink Red Bull anymore.
Got it out of your life.
No, I'm serious.
Almost killed a man.
I'm serious.
That's called being an addict.
I'm serious. I stopped drinking Red Bull cold turkey, man, just because I was like, man, this can't be good for me.
If you're fighting people over it, it might not be.
And it happened more than maybe 3 or 4 times that happened. I just lost my mind over Red Bull. Yeah, and even more than in one company. It's happening in different companies.
Well, you have to say,
am I thinking?
after that spin room, you deserve that. After that
No,
spin room,
man.
Yeah,
job,
Tiger
brother.
won't take it up for you. He went down there.
Yep. Try to get me to do another spin Rooney.
Oh man.
The Bashams that came up to me and said, "Hey man, whose Red Bulls are those?" I was like, no man, go ahead.
I
There's 2 of them there.
I almost made I almost made a fatal mistake one day. I had a Red Bull flip out, but I came in the locker room, and it was Sabu, and he was standing there with this guy, and this guy was drinking a Red Bull, and the cooler was right there, and I looked at him and I go, "Where'd you get that Red Bull?" He goes, "I got it out of the cooler." And then I go, "Who are you?" And before he could say anything, I say, "Now, why are you in the locker room?" And I say, "And why are you drinking my Red Bull?" And then he has the Red Bull like that. He goes, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. I'll pay you for it." And I knocked the Red Bull out of his hand. Boom. It hits the ground. And I go, "Why are you in my locker room, man? I tell you what, get out of here, man. Get out of the locker room." Sabu goes, "No, he's with me, man." I go, "No, he's not with you. Get out, man." And so he starts walking out of the locker room. I go, "No. Get out of the building." So I walked him all the way to the back door, threw him out of the building.
Where was I for that one?
And I found out he was an MMA fighter. He could have kicked my ass all over the place, and I wouldn't have known it. I was like, "What the hell?"
You sold it, bro. You sold him a bill of goods.
I think that's what it was. I was that mad. He bought it.
It's all about storytelling.
Look, I mean, you look at it is good storytelling.
It's all
Right?
about storytelling.
Now, you look at this, you see him smiling, but when he's mad,
I can imagine.
his eyes get about 6 times bigger,
Man.
and it is like,
I might have scared him, man.
I think you did.
I can't believe you just knocked it out of his hand.
Oh, man, I just knocked it out of his hand.
And then you escorted him out of the building.
Out of the building.
You
to
ain't
the
coming
back,
to the show
to the
tonight.
back door.
I don't know that I've ever thrown anybody
I
out of a
did,
building.
yeah.
I've thrown people out of the dressing room, but I've never thrown anybody out of
Gregory
a building.
Helms, he was there to witness that story.
Oh, that's that's funny.
I swear, man. I swear. And when I think about it, man, this kid could have kicked my ass. What am I thinking?
You're like, who's that? Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, Sabu wasn't trying to like.
He didn't defend him anywhere near that. After that, it was over. He like took a step back,
That
like
is
fade to black.
Fade to black.
Figure it out.
That is amazing, man. I can't believe I missed that one.
Yeah. Hey, man.
That's
Just
great.
wanted
So
to-
when did y'all first meet? When did y'all? I mean, was it when you came over from WCW, or was it before that?
I think that was the first time that we met.
Yeah, when I came over from WCW.
Yeah.
Of course, we came from the same area, Texas area.
Yeah, Houston.
Came through the same, spots, as well as WCW. Came through there. But it was always like, as well as, when you first getting into the business. I think for me, I had tunnel vision. I really wasn't thinking about a whole lot of guys around me until I got to that point to where I could feel a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't feel comfortable for a long time. And then by the time I got to WWE at that time, of course I felt comfortable, but I knew I was stepping into a war zone at the same time.
Yeah.
I knew I was coming into a place to where, man, these guys don't like us. It's going to be sink or swim here. Let me figure out how to make it in the locker room before I have a chance at making it in the ring. I always tell the story about when I first got to WWE. It's the TV locker room and it's the locker room, okay? The boys dress in the locker room. The TV locker room is for the camera guys, but the veterans, OGs, they could dress in there too. And I remember dressing in the locker room, doing my thing, going out and working, performing, doing my thing. I tell my students, if you can't make it in the locker room, you can't make it in the ring. Just not going to happen. You got to be able to make it in the locker room first. So I just continued to do my thing. And I remember I came to work one day. I don't even know if they can remember this. And he goes, "Hey, man, why don't you come dress over here with us?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in."
What possessed you to say that to him?
No, it was his attitude. It was that he could work. See, well, a lot of people didn't understand, and I actually want to get your perspective on, because a lot of guys came over and felt like they were held back, and but it was the way that he handled himself, and then he had talent, and it didn't take him, it didn't take you long to adjust. And there is that acclimation period coming from WCW where I think, there was only a handful of you that were working everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So there was that process of the WWE way. And if you didn't get it and you didn't understand it, you were dead in the water. You got it, obviously, and Eddie and Chris and those guys got it. But you were the first. I really think that of that group that came over, figured it out. And, plus he's from Houston, and I was like, I can work with him.
Yeah. As well, a lot of those guys in WCW, they just didn't understand either. They thought it was going to be relatively easy. They thought they were stars as well. But I thought about the war that had been going on for forever.
It was legit.
I was like, man, these guys ain't going to just give us a free pass or anything. I was like, they're going to try to step on us, man. So we got to figure out how to go over here and figure this out. And for me, I always wanted to test myself. I would test myself with the best in the world, and I knew the best in the world was on the other side. And
did you know that even while you were at WCW?
Oh, I watched it every Monday night. And I watched the talent, and what they were doing, and it was like, man, I even wanted to be a part of the brawl fall. I was like, man, give me a piece of that. I was like, give me a piece of that action, man. I got to go throw some hands.
That single-handedly took out more guys. That took out half our roster.
But no, man, I watched everything, and I was a huge fan. Never thinking about really getting to the other side. I was just always wanting to keep an eye on the competition. But when I did have a chance to actually make that move, I couldn't wait to see exactly what I could do, if I could do it. Yeah.
When you were at WCW, at what point did you look at the competition? You go, man, we've got a good thing going, but they're catching up.
Well, I mean, of course, in that period, where WCW had taken off, I really truly believe it was because of the NWO spark. That right there it was just hard not to be a part of that ride right there. And I think it was lightning in a bottle. It was a phoenix, man. And I just think, I don't care, what company was around at that point in time, seeing that the way they produced it, it almost killed every baby face in the company, and it almost ruined
I
wrestling.
think it was the best and worst thing that ever happened to WCW.
I say all the time, the NWO could have killed the business. It really could have. That's how
If it hadn't imploded.
If it hadn't imploded, it was like that. And I just think, right after that and right before that, I don't think WWE did anything different other than start working a little bit harder, start grinding a little bit better, start pulling together a little bit more, and it evaporated over a period of time. But in the mid to late '90s, that's when the war was.
The biggest thing that it did, and I think it was what was so good about it, is they changed the programming they changed the demographic. Like when the NWO started and all that, it wasn't a kid thing.
Yeah.
It was that 18 to 34-year-old male demographic. And they were doing real reality-based things that you could like, oh, okay, I understand that. It's not comical, or it's not kid, which was where we were still at.
Yeah.
We still had a bunch of, me of all people to talk, but there were a bunch of silly characters that we were still trying to sell merch to. And these guys are selling a story that's like, oh, I feel that, right?
Yeah.
These are gangsters, and this is
go drinking with them. They got women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Throwing the suck it. I mean, not the suck it side, but they were doing all kinds of stupid stuff. But
So it forced us to change. And then once we, like I said, it was a slow process of like, okay. And then it turned into the war.
Yeah.
And then that was the
but
greatest
not
time.
just that. They flipped the script by doing the same thing, but just doing it better. I think that's what happened. I mean, I think DX, had a whole lot to do with it. I think, Taker, of course, had a lot to do with it. But so many other, guys had so much to do with it as well.
I think also that just as someone that, sat on the couch and watched it every Monday, it got to a point for me where I was just like, who's not in the NWO?
Well, exactly my point.
Versus DX, you got five guys that's just like
they did it and they did it better.
Yeah.
NWO, it totally just took on a life of its own.
I felt like it was like you were the only person not.
That was by design. That was by design too. I remember I always tell the story of Scott Hall. It was right after the NWO got started. I guess they had Hall, Nash. They may have had one more member in there, and Scott Hall, he come up to me, hey, bro. And I go,
That's pretty good. Go ahead.
He goes, we need some color, bro.
I've never heard this either. This is awesome.
We want you to join, man. And I go,
He had quota to fill.
That's DEI now.
Oh my gosh. Is that what it is? NWO was DEI.
The NWO is the first. They were the first ones.
But I actually turned it down.
Good for you.
I said, nah, man, I'm a solo act, man.
Smart move.
But the thing is, I knew if I would have joined the NWO, I would have been taking all the bumps, and I'd have been on all the house shows.
That's how that translated,
So
right?
I say, to hell with that.
Yeah.
That deal. Okay.
That doesn't sound like a good deal for me.
Do you think if NWO would have just kept it to, the Outsiders and Hogan?
They still be selling merch.
Yeah.
They still be one of the biggest, greatest factions in the history of the game that ever went down in this business. That's the way I really feel about it. I mean, it could have really been something that was everlasting, but I really, I say it all the time. I really don't think they knew what they had. I think it was they slipped on a banana peel.
Yeah.
And it created itself, and it was like AI. It took over.
Yeah. But do you think if they'd have kept it small, do you think WCW keeps going, or do you think Vince and the WWE still takes over?
It wouldn't have. No, it would have imploded.
No matter what.
Still, yeah.
Man.
It was a great
big
time.
personalities. There were some big personalities.
It really was. There was a lot of personalities, as well as, when you start, getting high on your own supply, in
Yep.
in a term.
Yeah.
You know, you could definitely find yourself wondering, man, you know, I mean, what the hell happened? You know.
Well, I feel like in your case, you had to feel that way sitting in the locker room, like, God dang, man, like.
Well, I really didn't care. I was a kid from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I was making a lot of money. I was talented, and I knew if it did implode, I was just going to jump off the ship. Somebody else was going to throw me a life preserver.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
So I never thought about anything other than preparation is the only luck you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my students that all the time. So while everybody else was thinking about being stars, I was preparing for the ship to go down. I knew the ship was going to go down. And when the ship went down, I wanted to be ready to go. And I think I did that. It wasn't a sad time for me when WCW closed. You know, I wouldn't necessarily call it sadness. I would call it it's hard to even describe but was I sad? I had seen death. I lost my mother when I was 14 years old. You know, my dad, you know, when I was a baby. You know, I freaking was, you know, pretty much homeless, orphaned. You know, freaking a company going down and it's not mine. I really didn't care too much about that.
There's another there's another option out there.
And you're good. I mean, like,
and I thought about. I said I knew I was talented.
Yeah, you're good enough that you're
I
going to
knew
at least
somebody
get the
was
door.
going to pick me up.
Yeah.
You know, and just so happened at the end of WCW, I walk away the U.S. champion, the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I got a chip in the game. They obviously, and they did that. I was like, they obviously got plans for me. So, but no, I was just thinking about life as a young man and performing, and you know, WCW just happened to be the place. But I always say though, also, if WCW wouldn't have closed, went down and went under, I probably would have retired there. You know, I don't know if I would have ever left.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That's how easy it was, and I didn't care about the fame of it. I don't know if I could have changed. You know, my mind could have changed. But I know at that time I was making so much money in WCW, a kid coming from the neighborhood, and I was in such a position. I was just like, wow, how did this happen? You know, I really wasn't thinking about anything other than being the best talent. I just wanted to be the best performer. I just wanted to go out and steal the show every night. Those suckers, I used to tell them, yeah, I'm top 5 in the business, man. You know, I'm top 5.
Did you give him that? You give him the top 5?
Bro,
I don't even know why I'm asking. I know
used
the
to want
answer.
to kill me, man. He used to want to, Regal, they used to want to kill me in the locker room. They used to, they really did. And I'm like, you know, I'm top 5, you know, and they used to always want to know what number, you know, what number are you? And I go, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's
Just
top 5.
hovering,
Top
man.
5,
I'm
no matter
hovering. I
what.
might be here, doesn't matter, you know. But that's the way.
Funny.
That's the
funny,
that's the way I thought with this stuff. It's always. I found wrestling, and it was something that I love doing. It's been great. I remember Taker and I talking one time. We was at the board knocking Jack and Coke's back, and we go, man, why did it take us so long to figure this out? You know what I mean? Because it was like so easy. We were on autopilot by that time. You know. So for me, this business has always been about, you know, performing and performing at the highest level. You know, then you find yourself. You know, I always talk about Taker and Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25 in Houston. Between the both of them, you got like 100 years. And they go out and steal.
Just an age.
At the time, yeah.
And they go out and steal the damn show.
Yeah.
You know, from the crescendo of the balance of that show, of that match, the way it freaking started like that, you know, and then it freaking had a curve, and then everybody, it was like that, you know, and at the end of it, it's like that, everybody's, you know, going crazy, you know, so unfreaking.
Well, when you saw that match on the card, did you know that's a main event? Why is that? I mean, they're going to steal the show. Did you know that when you looked at the card?
Well,
before they ever even went to the ring?
Well, not really, because Shawn at that time was a different Shawn.
Yeah.
Shawn wasn't the same Shawn. And you got to wonder if You never know if you're going to be able to go out and pull off something like that. But when you got two great storytellers, oh man, anything
It was
can
easy.
happen.
It's funny. It's probably my greatest match.
Yeah.
As far as a technical wrestling match,
Easily, by far.
it was so easy. That's the crazy part about it. Because I tell people this all the time, and a lot of people outside the business don't understand. All I had to do was be Undertaker. Most times, and I'm sure you've been in this situation a ton too, you have to think not only for you, you have to think for whoever's in the ring with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, especially as you get older and your name becomes bigger and the legend becomes bigger, people get intimidated and they don't want to step on your toes. And then you have to think for them, and it's ever so slightly, you get used to it, but it does take your timing in it, because you have to think for them, like, what does this kid need to do next, or whatever, if that's the way you work. And all I had to do was go out and be me, because I knew Sean had Sean covered.
Yeah.
And it was just and he's just one of those guys that I had really good chemistry with. And it was a magical night.
It was a great night, man. It was a great night. Watching that.
Don't get off of me, but I'm so glad, I guess, that WCW went under, because I don't think of King of the Ring, and I don't think of you. You
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, no disrespect to Harley or anybody else,
or Stone Cold or whatever.
When you think of King of the Ring, I think of you, because it took you, because you'd already been on a great trajectory, and then when you won King of the Ring, you turned into just another level a performer, because you did become King Booker.
Oh man!
But you made it matter too.
Oh,
you made that pay-per-view matter, where it was like, because you took that persona on.
Oh man, I loved it, man. That was the greatest time of my career.
Peek out.
Oh man, and I stole that from Savage. People didn't realize that. Savage used to do here, so I say, and I always thought Savage was a great king. I always thought Savage was a guy that I really wanted to emulate. And I wanted to take that character to another level as well. I said, man, I want to break the mold. I said, when people remember the King of the Ring from this point on, the only thing they're going to remember is King Booker. And I swear, man, Charmel and I, we had such a great time creating those moments. But it was so real to me. It was so real. It was real as it could possibly be, as far as ruling the SmackDown kingdom with an iron fist, having Finley and Regal as my royal court, and making John Cena bow down and kiss my feet.
Yeah.
It was some of the greatest work.
When you can get a pop, and people literally just when they think about King Booker, and they don't even have to associate a match with it.
Yeah.
That's special in my opinion.
Yeah. You know what? It was a great time. I always thought about Camelot. I was like, man, some director got to be watching this in Hollywood. That's what I'm thinking. Hollywood night. That's what I came to work thinking. I'm like, man, they got to be disappointed, because I was tapping into everybody.
Awesome.
At that time, The Last King of Scotland. One of my favorite movies. I'm watching everything that's good just because I wanted to be there. So for me, it was a great time in my career, as well as I thought about it two ways. I thought being the king of the ring could have been an asterisk on my career. People could have remembered that totally different, as being a clown with the dunce cap on and just acting a fool. But I said I wanted to flip the script. I wanted to make it something totally different, something memorable, to where people remember it from a perspective to where they either loved it or they hated it. And now when I do like conventions and people come up to me and they go, man, I hated King Booker, but now I realize why
how good it really was.
Yeah, that really makes me feel good. As well as even now, they still make. I just had a King Booker action figure just came out. I'm the only king they still make action figures of.
You're the only one I think about, honestly.
You
say King of the Ring, I think of you.
I appreciate it.
For me, there's
man.
only two things. It's you, and then the Stone Cold promo. Those are the two things.
But I mean,
but I don't even
from
think
what
about the
he
match.
took-
I don't even think about the match. I don't think about
And
Stone Cold being the king of the
and
ring.
I've taken issue with that. I've taken issue with that as well. As far as people comparing my king run against anyone's.
No, greatest king run ever.
And I say, and they ranked the Kings a year or so ago, and they had Stone Cold at #1. And I say, I can agree with you that you may like Steve Austin more, but he wasn't a better king.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't as noble. He wasn't as.
His promo that he cut afterwards was the only thing that makes you remember him as king of the ring.
You know what? I give you that.
If he doesn't cut that promo,
but never compare the two.
No,
never do that.
Believe me, Steve gets all his flowers, which is well deserved. But there's only one king. There's only one king.
There's only one.
There's only one king.
One king.
So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. Now you were also during your king run. You were world champion too, were you not?
I was the only king to become world champ. Which is a great honor, because I wasn't really thinking about the world title at that time, but I always equate the world championship as being that thing that signifies you're our guy. Mm-hmm. You're the guy that we're going to run with.
Yep.
You're going to be represented.
You said you're the only one?
No. I'm the only king that won the heavyweight championship. Now
simultaneously.
Now they've put in place where if you win the King of the Ring, you actually get a title shot.
Right.
That's because of me. That was because of me. I just want to throw that out there. But
duly noted.
But what was I? I was talking about something. I lost train of thought. But as far as the King go, winning the heavyweight championship was a great honor. But it wasn't a thought or anything like that. I wasn't thinking about winning the heavyweight championship, but being the guy, knowing that I was representing the show, it let me know that I did an extraordinary job playing that role, because it was a role, it was a character,
yep.
It was a gimmick, and when you play in a gimmick, you have to really buy into it 100%. Yep. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Buy into it.
And I leaned into it 100%. And wow, my queen, my lovely queen, it wouldn't have happened without her.
Yeah,
because the thing is, they created the King of the Ring actually, literally because I used to call Charmel my queen all the time. She's my queen. So let's make the King of the Ring. Oh, you'll be the king. And it was something that was put together that quick. I won one match. I became the King of the Ring. People don't even remember that.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But for me to take that role and make it as memorable as it was, man, I tell you, it was a great time in my career. And I remember them saying, "Man, you still got a babyface run doing this, man. You got a." And I was like, "Bro, I'm done. I'm finished." It was that tough. It was hard. It really was hard trying to summon that every week and go out and play that role, as well as being the heavyweight champion. And people don't understand, being the heavyweight champion in this business is the hardest job in the world. It really, truly is. Because you talk about those dark matches. Yep. You might be at the middle of the show. You might even be somewhere in the beginning, come out. You might be in the middle of the show. You might be a match. And then you're going to be the dark match, know. And I remember sleeping on one of the crates one day. And MVP, he came by and he touched me on the shoulder and he goes, "Book, you okay?" And I woke up and I goes, "Yeah."
Right
back to sleep. You know what I mean? Because you got to try to get sleep in between work. You can't be thinking about anything other than that. Being prepared to actually get ready to go. The toughest year and the most, the best, one of the best years I ever had.
Or most rewarding. Yeah. Because too, at that point, normally the champion was a babyface. It was a good guy champion. So to be a heel champion, that's just another testament to what you were doing.
To rule the SmackDown Kingdom with an iron fist. It was a great time, man. I beat up Batista.
Awesome.
I just beat up Batista one night, man. I just rag-tagged him, like Muhammad Ali. Cena, what I mean? It was great beating all those guys up, man. It was, Bobby Lashley, man, I rag-tagged him. Oh, my God. And when I go back and watch some of that stuff, it's hard to realize it was me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not patting myself on the back or anything like that, but the matches some of the matches was flawless.
Yeah.
And when what Taker was just talking about a second ago, being able to think for someone else, being able to make sure this match look a certain way. Because when you're doing a match, at the end of the day, it's never about how you feel. It's about how the fans walk away from the arena, how they feel when they're leaving, walking through that door, if they still got that feeling somewhere deep. And I swear that I really was trying to bring those moments to life to where those fans really felt, you know, the artistry that we was trying to display on a nightly basis. And I swear it was literally the best time of my career. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was a hell of a run.
It was.
It was a hell of a run.
It was. It was a hell of a run.
Well, man, what do you? So, give me a little rundown. We talked about it a little bit. What all, you got a lot of irons in the fire, man.
Of course, I got my radio show, the Hall of Fame, with myself and Brad Gilmore. We got a national show as well that we cover MMA, boxing, as well. Working for NXT with WWE every Tuesday. You know, just went live on the CW on Tuesday nights as well. Got my wrestling school, reality wrestling, as well as my wrestling promotion. Of course, speaking engagements, trying to make sure the young kids out there, you know, hear the word coming from someone who've actually walked in it. Sometimes, you know, you got to hear it from someone who's actually walked in those shoes. I always say, you know, like I used to get in trouble all the time. I used to be a bad kid. And my mother couldn't tell me anything. You know, my brothers, you know, the security guard, nobody could tell me anything. And I always say, man, if Muhammad Ali told me the exact same thing everybody else is telling me, I would listen. Yeah.
Right.
And so I try to put myself in that position now to go out and motivate young people to be the best they possibly can, and you know, take over the world, and be, you know, take this future into a direction that we all can be proud of. You know, so for me, I'm just, you know, I got my twins, 14 years old, and trying to keep them on the right track. And I don't know, man, just joined the church too.
Just joined the church too. Wow, good for you, man.
that helps. That helps.
It does, man. It really does.
So there's no dust collecting on you in retirement.
Man. You know what? I'll rest when it's time to. You know, I always ask God just to give me enough time to finish my work. You know, we all here, you know, trying to put in the work, trying to do it to where at the end of the day, you know, it's all going to be about how we remember. You know, so for me, I'm on the radio every week, and sometimes it gets tough. It really does. You know, because we lose so many people in this business.
Yep.
And we got to talk about it all the time. Yeah. And I say, man, I know they're going to be talking about me one day. I know they're going to be talking about me. I just want them to, you know, put me over.
I don't want to be known just for the Red Bull incident.
Yeah,
exactly.
Man,
I was the king.
No, I'm serious, man. Just put me over, man. That's all, man. But it's just one of those things, man. You just keep going. You keep pushing yourself. You know, I try to make sure I test myself periodically just to know that I can do it. You know, it may not be nothing but going out, you know, jumping on the John Deere and going cut the grass. You know, taking out the weed whacker and, you know, making sure, you know, everything's pruned properly. Just to know that I can still do it, you know. So for me, it's just about putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving, you know, in a positive way as long as we possibly can, because we all got a birth date and we all got a death date, and it's going to be what we do in the middle.
What a message, man. I didn't know you were so profound.
Been going to church.
I tell you what, that church,
It's got a message over it.
It's so funny that you end up doing all this announcing and radio work, because he used to sit back in the dressing room, like when the matches were going on, he would always be doing color.
Yeah.
From the dressing room. Oh, yeah.
Make up names.
Just the most crazy.
Make up moves.
Make up moves. People mess up something. He would just go off. And it was so entertaining. Like the monitor would be sold out.
Yeah.
Not to watch the match, but to hear Book's commentary. So it's, I guess all that work paid off, man.
It did, man. You know, I never thought I was preparing myself to do what I do but it's just like wrestling though. It's just like wrestling. You got to prepare.
Yeah.
You got to study. You got to really try to buy all in. And the thing is, you may not be the best. I tell my students all the time, but you better act like you're the best. You may not know how to do this, but you better act like you know how to do it, and act like you know how to do it very, very well. So for me, that's what the way I come in and try to put myself in the frame of mind to where, I know how to do it. Even though I don't know how to do it, I'll act like I know how to do it.
Which has been harder for you, wrestling or commentating?
I think it's been about an equal task. It really has. I mean, I don't think I could have. Wrestling kind of came easy for me, but really getting good at wrestling is not something that happened by osmosis.
Not everyone gets really good.
No, exactly. You gotta. For me, I was peeking out the curtain, watching Black Bart. Trying to steal what these guys are doing and then why they did this and how they did that. Wrestling is not about the moves; it's about the little things.
There he goes. Testify.
It's
I feel like y'all are the same person.
We came from the same era.
We've done this podcast before already. Sorry, guys.
We come from the same
repeating
era.
the same podcast.
No, man, it's like the air, man. You can feel it, but you can't touch it. You know it's there.
Yeah.
And that's what wrestling is. You got to be able to decipher things on a moment's notice. You got to be able to clean up, aisle 3 in an instant. I'm serious. That's what wrestling is. And for me, I picked that up easily, but I still had to study it. And I tell, the same stories about the commentary. I was just talking to one of my girls that do commentary in reality of wrestling, and I was just giving her some of these same tips. Make sure you write it down. Make sure you emphasize it. Make sure you underline it, and give me some exclamation points, in order to make it sound like you know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And if you do that, somebody might start paying you.
Bluechew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up, Dennis, at Bluechew.com.
I will try.
Consult one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days.
Yeah, I want to try
Bluechew
it.
tablets are made in the USA.
Nice. You got to throw that radio
Best
voice
part,
on.
it's done all online. No awkward conversations.
Like this
I don't
one.
think
I
you
enjoy the awkward conversations.
Like right now.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
can take it anytime, day or night.
yeah.
And you know what? 6 Feet Under's got a great special for you.
Tell
We've
me
got a
about
special for our listeners. Try Bluechew free.
Ladies and
when you
gentlemen,
use
try
our promo
Bluechew
code
free.
6 feet at checkout, just pay $5
6
shipping.
feet.
That's Bluechew.com. Promo code 6 feet to receive your first month free. Visit Bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Bluechew for sponsoring this podcast and the Godwins.
Your schedule, I don't know about that, man.
Hey, man. You know what? I don't. Like I say, I'm idle. It's not good. When I'm at home thinking, it's not good. I'd rather be down in the school, working with the students. I'd rather be on the road, but I still love my time at home, working with my kids as well,
Right.
and being there for my son's basketball games because man, he's a beast when it comes to basketball. He's finally grown into his feet. He wears size 13.
Oh, how tall is he now?
He's like 6'1".
Is he?
Yeah, and 14 years old. And his last few games of the season, he on defense, man, battle warrior. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like Dennis Rodman, just snatching rebounds.
Everything.
But I'll tell him, I need you to get some points on the board. I need you to just get some points. All right. I need you to get 5 points. Get me 5. All right. Steak dinner. All right, daddy steak dinner. So he went out, boom, 5 points, no problems. Next game, he went out 5 points, no problem. Next game, 9 points. I'm like, all right, now, slow it down.
Slow down now.
Slow it down.
We don't need too much red meat.
So, no, man, I love it, man. I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life. I'm getting a chance to, see it from both sides. You know how it is being on the road, traveling. In this business, it's a rough gig on the family. But these days, I get a chance to be at home every week with my kids, and I get a chance to be out on the road working with my kids. You know.
Yeah. So you got a good balance. That's
yeah. It's actually really good.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. Is finding the balance of what's right and feeling, what's right for me, and what's right for the family,
mama.
and mama. You're right. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough business to be able to get all that squared away. But looks like you're doing it, man. I'm happy for you.
You know what, man? Never in a million years I thought I'd be where I'm at right now. Never saw this coming. Never planned it. I did plan to retire when I was, when I was 40. I remember I was 30, and I said, man, I got to get out of this business. I got to get out when I'm like 40. I don't want to be one of these guys.
It's like the mafia, brother.
I know it, but I'm still here. I'm still hanging around, and they still, like in Atlanta, they showed me on the screen, and I always say, they gave me a pop. It's like, look around to make sure the Rock's not behind me.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's me.
That's me. I'm good. That's me, yo. What's going on? But it's great every time, man, to know the fans still love you.
I mean, Atlanta's got to be a second home. You know
what? Starting in Atlanta, being at Center Stage, Peachtree Boulevard every week, and those fans really coming out and supporting Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry. Those were some very, very special days. Very special days for myself, my brother.
And for me, when I think Booker T, I think Harlem Heat.
Man.
Because I was a WCW guy. And once I got to an age where I kind of got away from the product, that's when you kind of started your singles career.
Yeah.
So when I think Booker T, I think Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat, man, it was an awesome time, man, and it all started in Atlanta, so to be a part of that, it was really, really cool. Just walking through the airport, it was really, really cool because it's kind of crazy because I pictured my young self walking through that airport. It's crazy, right?
It's a lot different.
It is a lot different because my knees was hurting. You know what I mean? But that's what I thought about.
Yeah.
I thought about myself walking through the airport at 30, at 28 or 20, something like that. And it's like, wow, it's a freaking sober experience, man. It really is a surreal experience. Yeah. But it's awesome though, man. I wouldn't change a thing. I really would. I really would.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Man, we got some questions.
We do, man.
We're going to answer a few questions.
We're going to go over to for our Patreon listeners.
All right.
They're going to head over to Patreon, and we got our streak members send in some questions for you too. And but before we head over there, I just want to say thank you to DraftKings for keeping the lights on.
Happy Dad.
Happy Dad. Man, these guys are amazing. First Phorm, Magic Spoon, some of the best cereal you'll ever eat.
I got Magic Spoon, man. It's good. It's good.
Magic Spoon's good cereal, man. So thank you to all the sponsors out there. If you're a Patreon member, head over. We're going to do a little Q&A with two Hall of Famers.